good afternoon. How are you? Munaendeleaje? By the way, leo, I've woken up thinking about the risks we face as human beings or as adults. Do you ever assess your risks? I did assess my risks today. One of them is illness. You can fall sick. You can fall sick. That is one risk. And if you fall sick, what will happen to you? What will happen to your kids? What will they do when you've fallen sick? Which reminds me, I think around 3 months ago? Yes, I think around 3 months ago, my mom fell sick. And we thought it was just, taking her to hospital for a checkup. My mom is 85 years old. So we were like, let's take her to hospital for a checkup. So we took her to hospital. They started checking her, kama kawaida, the pressure, the kawaida things. And then somehow it got to midnight, because we took her, I think it was in the evening. It was my nephew and I. So it got to evening, So no, it got to midnight, somewhere around 11 going to midnight. Then the hospital decides to say that they want to admit her. By the way, she wasn't serious. She was talking, she was eating, she was okay. It was just, we took her just for checkup. And then they told us she needs to be admitted. Now we look at the lady, they are saying should be admitted. We are like, no, she's fine. Because she walked into hospital herself. She's talking, she's eating. And then even what shocked us most at that time was we were asked for 250,000 as deposit for the admission. At midnight, 250,000 for admission. Hey, my friend. Tukaangaliana hivi with my nephew. We are like, why admit her and she's okay? She's walking, she's eating, she's talking. Why? We were like, and we didn't have that money at that time. And we were like, she's okay. What we'll do, we'll go with her we'll go with her home, and then depending on how she feels, we can then bring her back to hospital. And that's what we did. Let me tell you, my friends, do you think my mom slept? I think we got home at around 1. Yeah, we got home at around 1. So we put her to bed, because she was okay, right? I think after like an hour, my mom couldn't sleep. So we had to take her back to hospital. By that time, I think that time is when we started making calls to my siblings to send some money for admission. And yes, that's what we did. We got the money and she got admitted. That is one risk. I'll refer to this story in another video. Put it at the back of your mind. So we've said illness. The other risk we face is permanent disability. Now this is the one I fear most. Permanent disability, to be permanently disabled. Wow. You become a vegetable. One day you are able to do things for yourself, but now you can't for one reason or another. You are either on a wheelchair or in bed the whole time, every day, day in, day out. That is another risk, permanent disability. Think about it. There's another risk, death, which we all avoid talking about. One day we will all die, others sooner than the others. Have you ever thought about death? What will happen to your family once you've died? What arrangements have you put in place? If your kids are in school, have you ever thought of how will they continue going to school once you've left this world? Yeah, I connect that with permanent disability. You can't work anymore. Your kids are in school. By the way, and let me tell you also another story, true story. I have a friend, by the way, she doesn't mind me giving an example. Using her, they were living in Kilimani with her husband and kids, and the kids were going to an international school. But the husband died in a car accident. And you know, the wife was not able to continue paying the rent in Kilimani. She had to cut down on her expenses. She had to move from Kilimani she went to Embakasi, where she's paying, I think she told me she's paying 50,000 for a 3-bedroom house. Yeah, I think, yeah, from Kilimani. The kids were going to international schools. Now they are going to, imagine. But these are the things we need to think about. We will not live forever. Accidents every day. People being knocked down by, borders. People being knocked down by, matatus and cars, and there's so much going on. There are so many risks out here. But what have you done to protect yourself from these risks? Some you can avoid, others you can't. Others you can transfer, like transferring those risks to an insurance company. That is where I come in as a registered insurance agent. Talk to me. Other